I've watched movies since I've been back, and it's looking at the way they portray Muslims to be. It's that's not accurate at all. And so, Islamic people are the wonderful people. They're very kind, very gentle. Love, they love following what they believe. And one thing that I grew to love of them is every day, 5 times a day, they pray. And so they go and their prayer is called sholat. And so one thing that it annoyed me at first, honestly, they would play their call to prayer, which is called the asan. They'd play it over loudspeakers, and it annoyed me at first, but I grew to really appreciate and love it because just the way they do things, it's a very respectful way of worship for them. They're very respectful towards God, and that's one thing I really appreciated about them. They're respectful towards prophets. They say, oh yes, we believe Christ was a prophet, and even though I believe he's the savior of the world, they would say, we still believe he's great. And they wouldn't doubt that he was a good man. And so another thing that I learned from them is before they go and they pray, they wash themselves. They wash their hands, their face, their feet. And it's very, it's something that they do. And it kind of taught me a principle that before I approach God, be clean, you know? It's not to say that if you've sinned that you can't approach God, but to say that do your best to present yourself to God. And so now before I go to sacrament, I sit and I think about, okay, how am I? And before I go to sacrament, I wash my hands, I take a shower and make sure that I'm clean and presentable before I go to church. So that's just something that I've really learned from them, and that's one of the great things about them. Another thing that I learned from them is the Islamic belief is that they are to help the poor and the needy. And so that was one thing that was great, is a lot of them there are poor, but they do their best to help. And so giving a little bit of money to a beggar on the street, that's something that I had an issue with. Not an issue, but I wasn't comfortable with it before my mission. But after seeing these people, how willingly they'd give even the shirt off their back to these strangers, it taught me how to care for the poor. And so I'm not saying that the best way is to just hand money out or to do whatever, but they taught me how to care, how to really love the people who are in need and do my best to serve them. And so, I don't know, just my views on Islam is it's a wonderful religion that teaches good principles, and it teaches people how to respect each other, how to help each other. And I feel that the Islamic people, the Muslim people, they're victimized by the very, very small minority that have chosen to be different, to go to extremism. And so on the whole, the majority of them are just incredibly wonderful people, and they're very gentle, very kind, very loving. But it's a misfortune that they're victimized by those who don't want to be a part of that. And so my respect for them has just grown incredibly.